I've not used this before, so I'm just trying it out.
We're back. He's Gaz. I'm glad we're back here at the Clubhouse, round 2, the redo. I can almost guarantee the power won't go out here. I cannot guarantee what the Wi-Fi is going to hold out like. So if you do see me freezing, it's not the weather. It's probably just the Wi-Fi internet. Gaz, it's
Hello.
Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you, buddy.
Man, I'm so glad we're doing this again. We do have a guest for the next one. So we do have Cutthroat Comics coming on in the next episode that we do. Having said that, this won't always be about comics. This is just us shooting the shit. It could be about anything, right? No scripts, no prep work, no images, nothing fancy. We're just literally going to sit and talk, interact with you guys in the chat and hang out. So I want to do the roll call real quick, Gaz. Now, before I do the roll call, Gaz, and the roll call, if you watched last time, was basically me going through all the Clubhouse members on Patreon that help support this channel. Much appreciated. I'll do that roll call right now. But before I do, Gaz, I want to leave you to ponder on a quandary that I've often thought about, right? So think about this while doing the roll call. Wolverine famously has adamantium claws, right? For the most part, which are known to be just about indestructible. Can cut through anything. Now, what I want you to ponder on and get back to me with after this roll call is what, if anything, can a lightsaber do to Wolverine's claws? Think on that. I'll do the roll call. I'm going to try and keep up because I've done it on here. Clubhouse roll call. Wilhelm, Toy and Hobby, Casey Wheeler, Ratface 44 Reviews, or Handsome Man Ratface as we call him, David, Samuel Blaine, The Retro Tinker, Cindy K, Sunny's Sundries, Jonathan Sorensen, Happy Accident, Joshua Allen, Go Figure, and that was as many as I could put in this banner. I had to do a second one. Here comes a second banner coming up. Clubhouse roll call number 2, Scuba Pete, Treasures for Trigger, Hans Chow, Ken Poe, Brendan Haley, Space Commander. Thank you all for the support. I sincerely appreciate it. We'll jump to the comments real quick and see who's watching us live, and then I'm going to get that answer from you because I have my own opinion on it too, guys. So we'll get to that in a second. We've got Dale here saying, hello, everybody. Hello, Dale. How are you, buddy? Am I coming in loud and clear for you, mate? Aussie Ronnie Trick Shot. Let's do this. I'm with you there, buddy. Speaking of Sunny's Sundries, here he is. G'day, mates. Toy Connections with round 2. Chat. Hello, Zazzy and Gaz from Dale. Hello, buddy. Facebook user with a yo. Which Facebook user is this? Let us know. Or is it literally Facebook user? You know, if we don't, we could be anybody. We can decide who Facebook user is.
That could be Wolverine.
I think it could be either Wolverine or Alex Ross. Now, when I was a kid, I misread Ross as Axl Rose. And I was like, why is Axl Rose drawing comics? Like, good on him. But okay, anyway, so Alex Ross is here, famous artist. Pericles, Dragon Ball Z, it take 2. It does. Now, it's take 2, correct. Excuse my English. Pericles, you are a wealth of knowledge. I would love to have you on one of these shows. Another wealth of knowledge is the comics, JLS Comics.
JLS
I
Comics.
just watched one of their videos where he was talking about Strife, and we talked briefly about Strife in our last episode. So if you want to check that out, please do. Great video. Phil with the guitar coming in hot. Phil, return of Mo Tuesday. That is coming up tonight. Some people might tell you it's a morning show, but it's not. It's a night show. It just depends on where you are in the world. Handsome Man, Ratface, 44 reviews is here. Another great channel. Do check them out. A lot of these guys in the chat have great channels, so do check them out. Make sure to knock on wood. There we are. Yep, we're all knock on wood. Speaking of Aussies, we've got Frostbite, Jojo Reaper here. Hit that like button for the bearded kid. Cheers, mate. I was a bearded kid. I got that from my mum. Scuba Pete is here. Greetings. Scuba Pete off the back of his stream with the guys over at Wilhelm and Jim Largo, and they were doing Infinite Playlist. So check that out. Great series. And both the Scoobs were there. I call them Scoobs because that's we're close like that. He may hate it. It's Outback Stu. Outback Stu's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Outback Stu does some funny videos. Go check out him as well. Have I missed anybody? Ed5 standing by. Good to see you, my friend. I will be catching up with you tonight on the late night Mo Tuesday show, early morning, depending on where you are. Joe Fan 84. Now, I think he's a fan of 84, not necessarily that he is 84 or that he's the 84th Joe Fan. But if you're the 84th Joe Fan, that's still pretty early in the run of, right?
Very.
And then we got Brick Something. Giving us peace and the fist in the air. And have I missed anyone? Oh, here he is. JLS Comics. I was just talking about you, bud. What's up, Clubhouses? Good to see you, buddy. I was just talking about your Strife video, my favorite villain, and I actually learned a lot about Strife after the comic runs that I was reading. So if you want to find out what happened, because I won't say what happened, but I was surprised. But go check out that video. I will say this, though. He teamed up with some people I did not anticipate that he would be teaming up with. So check that out one time, won't you? And Adam from Go Figure is here. How are you, buddy? Hey, legends. All right, so, Gaz. Oh, hang on. One more. Jeff Morris is here. How are you, friend? Good to see you, buddy. Where do we sit on the whole Wolverine Corp versus lightsaber?
Well, in the hands of a Jedi, obviously, right?
Of course. Because Wolverine, his weapons are literally in the hands of Logan. Right?
But it's not just the blades, it's Wolverine. Right,
that's what I mean, though. So you're saying a trained Jedi versus whether we decide it's a ninja or a pub brawler or whatever iteration. A brawling ninja. Okay, so where are we at with that?
I'm gonna say, well, I mean, if a Jedi uses the Force powers,
right,
then I don't think he's gonna be much of a match. If he goes up against a Sith, the Sith might underestimate him.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I like Wolverine better than I do Jedis. But I'm gonna think that I'm gonna go and say that I think he might get some hits in, but I think he's gonna go down because once that lightsaber cuts through him, because a lightsaber can cut through anything, right? It just takes a little.
Can it cut through adamantium?
Well, we don't know what the Empire uses for let's just take like episode 1 of the prequels, and you see that Qui-Gon sticks his blade in that door, and it takes a little time to cut through. We don't know what that door is made of or how hard that door is, and I'm assuming it's pretty hard.
I think that door was made out of sequel trilogy era torsos because that's almost indestructible these days.
But
and now that I think about it, was Qui-Gon showing us through the beginning of the film how he was going to end up at the end of the film with a lightsaber directly through? Woo, there we go. All right, go back to the. All right, so just to clarify, skill level aside first, right? We'll just go with can Wolverine defend himself with his blades, or would a lightsaber cut through them?
I think he can defend himself with his blades, but I don't know how long his blades will last. I think if it's just a quick hit, yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, if it's just like blocking, yeah, definitely. And he can, if it's like straight out fight, I think I'm going to reverse what I said earlier. I think he can take a Jedi, depending on the Jedi. Like if he's fighting Darth Maul, I think he's gonna have a problem because Darth Maul, let's just say, is probably he's a ninja, right?
Right.
With his blades and stuff. I think he's the coolest out of all the Jedis that we've ever seen on screen.
I agree.
Because he is, Jedi, Sith, Jedi, whatever, same thing, same difference, I think, in my mind. But
do you think Darth Vader could pull the skeleton out?
Yeah.
Not just the liquid, not just turn it to liquid metal like Magneto did, but like literally just rip his bones from his body.
No, I don't think he could do that. I think he could hold Wolverine at bay completely. Sure. But I don't think he's like Magneto level, like where the Force can just pull a skeleton out. I don't think they can do that kind of thing.
So I agree with you in that I believe he could probably deflect a lightsaber, but if he was holding his blades and the lightsaber was pushing up against it, I think given some time, it would probably go through.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that would probably happen. And we're talking, for me personally, I'm talking about pre-movie Wolverine. I'm talking about old comic style Wolverine. I know that in the Wolverine movie, something cut through his blades. What was that?
Oh, it was like a heat. It was like a heat blade. Like the enemy he was fighting, JLS or Cutthroat might know this, is that he was fighting and he had like some sort of heat, like heated up.
Was that still the samurai?
It might have been, yeah. His I'm sorry, it's the wire. His blade was heated, I believe, right? And it kind of through, but it took a while for it to melt through, right? It wasn't just instantaneous, or was it? I'm doing a lot of hand movements. It's weird to me.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and check it out. Oh, here we go. So Pericles chimes in. So here we go. Oh, well, first of all, Adam was above there saying, can a lightsaber cut through adamantium, or is it strong like Beskar? That's a good question too. Like, what about a Beskar sword?
It might be. Well, yeah, it might be like Beskar. If it's like Beskar, then no, it can't cut through. Well, let's just assume that it's like Beskar, right? Because that's like the strongest metal within the Star Wars universe, right?
Obviously. But then it opens up the question of adamantium versus Beskar.
Well, let's just take Wolverine out of the Marvel universe, place him into the Star Wars universe. Same setup. The Empire built him, special weapons unit, weapons department in the Empire, and they made him, and they bonded Beskar to his skeleton. So
I would love to see that.
So there we go. So he's unbeatable.
So Pericles unbeatable in any iteration that you throw him into. So Pericles, and my brother, I've got another thing to add to that, and I'll let you think on this for a second too, is that my brother mentioned on the last stream that wondered whether he still had adamantium when he was that amalgam with Batman. Or was that Dark Claw? Was that adamantium, or did he just have batarangs that came out of his hand? But before I get to that answer, think on that for a second. Pericles says, I think it would depend on adamantium's melting point. I did some research, because of course he did. According to Star Wars lore, lightsabers can reach temperatures ranging from 18,000 degrees Celsius to up to 25.
Well, that's pretty hot.
That's right. That's hot. Oh, yeah, that's hot.
That's hot.
Now, Bean, obviously, Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, of course.
That goes without saying. So was Dark Claw adamantium still?
I would assume that, because sometimes when they come, it has to be it, because without that, it's not Wolverine, even if he's got claws popping out, right? It's that metal that makes him like almost indestructible. That and his healing factor. So without that, I mean, I don't know how many fans we have of the Bone Wolverine. I'm not a big fan. I think it's cool, but I like the metal.
It was a cool concept.
Yeah,
it's a cool concept.
Yeah,
but I got out of reading comics before he got the adamantium back, and I liked the beginning of that run. But then he started to get feral, and I was like, I'm losing interest now.
Yeah, I didn't like the feral Wolverine. I didn't like it.
Hello to Harry O. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Harry.
Facebook Jedi don't lose.
For me, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't make sense that he goes feral because of the fact that he got the metal in his body like in the 60s, right? So all that time beforehand, Was he just saying he was like a feral dude running around in the woods? Because he has like stories where he's
well, he was pretty feral running around the woods, but he wasn't like to the point. Actually, I think the issue was, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm often known to be wrong, but I thought it was the shock to the system that caused his healing factor to go kaput, and his feral side started to take over, and he couldn't compensate for it, and it made his nose retract, and he got hairier than I did.
Well, his nose just like disappeared, right? Or did it just go right up in here? I think that was probably
Conan was a great. I saw that What If. I loved What If. Actually, I'm going to get to this comment, and then I'm going to ask you something, Gaz, because I feel bad, and I need to know something in a sec. But it took Qui-Gon a while to burn through blast doors with his saber, so he may get through adamantium, but it'd have to take a while. And Wolverine wouldn't just sit there and let it happen. Absolutely, I agree. Like there's no way that I think he could deflect, and I think that he could bounce back, and I think he could take a lot of lightsaber chops. I mean, even Luke couldn't cut through Darth Vader's armor.
Yeah.
However, he probably wasn't trying to kill him either.
You also got to remember that while this is happening, while he's blocking it, I mean, if he knees whatever Jedi he's fighting against in the stomach, that's gonna hurt because it's an adamantium knee hitting you.
Right.
So I mean, I think it's gonna take a lot of Jedi to take him down.
Adamantium melting point is 740 degrees Celsius. Well, let's. Yeah, I think so. I still think he could deflect just fine, but I don't think that.
Well, I don't think a lightsaber is that hot to the touch. Well, not like you're gonna touch it, but as it is. I'm thinking like in the point of view where Qui-Gon sticks it into the blast doors.
Yeah.
Reach up to those, those temperatures, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I agree. Sup, guys? How are you, Photo Viper? Good to see you, buddy. Gaz.
Yeah.
I wanted to apologize for dropping out of the last stream there. I thought, even though you didn't think so, I thought you handled it very well.
I didn't.
But I need to know. Did anyone catch Gaz?
Anybody saw that? I just went.
Gaz, I need to know, and I missed it. I need to know your Superman X-Men idea.
Okay, so the Superman X-Men idea, so the What If, it's not a full story. It's just basically the starting of like an idea. So instead, this goes back to like the original Superman story. So he wasn't with the Kents. Like originally, he wasn't found by the Kents, right? He was found by a random couple, and they just gave him up for adoption. So one of that presence, right? So he crashes wherever in Kansas or whatnot. The people that find him put him, they don't keep him. They give him to the state, whatever, put him into adoption, a foster home. He goes around, and eventually he's in the same house or boarding house or adoption place, whatever it was back then. Not a foster home, but like, where the unparented kids are in the being home or whatever. Right. And he meets up with Scott Summers because that's where Xavier finds him. Xavier comes around because he hones in using the device that he has and finds Cyclops. And with Cyclops, he sees young Kal-El. We'll have to give him a new name because he won't be Clark Kent or whatnot. And he's brought to the Xavier mansion and raised there. So he'll have the same moral code as he would have if he raised with the Kent because it's basically, it's almost the same thing. It's that dream. The Xavier dream is for everybody to live in harmony, right? The X-Men are there to kind of enforce that and help and show that mutants can do something good. And they're all going to think he's a mutant, right? They're not going to think he's a space alien. He just has multiple powers, right? He'll manifest his powers in puberty, just like Scott Summers would have. So they would all think that he's a mutant. True. So now you have Superman, and then eventually when you hit the story, you would start off just like say like the movie where he knows there's something going on, so he has to figure it out, and then he goes searching, and maybe somehow he finds like a green crystal or whatever. He goes into this is off the movie, right? So
right. Yeah,
and he'll create his fortress of solitude, learn who he really is, go back, after a certain amount of time, come back to the X-Men, and this could be like the newer X-Men with Wolverine and all that and stuff like that. He's an original X-Men. And then just shows up and he's like, tells Xavier who he is, but everybody else just thinks he's a mutant, right? And then you can add in like Lex Luthor as like a mutant hater or whatever you want to call him.
Yes.
You can bring in Zod as the last Kryptonian. You can tie that to the alien races within the Marvel universe, because we know the X-Men have that intergalactic kind of thing going on as well.
Yeah.
Brood and
the Shire,
Shia. And then I mean, just think about Superman in the story of the Phoenix, and you'll probably be the only one that can take the Phoenix down, right?
So I've got some questions. Do you think he still keeps the name Superman? Like, obviously he's going to need a mutant X-Men code name, right? If he joins up with the X-Men, does he still stay as Superman? Because Superman sort of still works because you got Marvel Girl. So, could he be Superman still, or would he be Superboy, or would he be Marvel Boy, or something else? You could
give him the Superman name as a joke. Bobby was that quick-witted Iceman. Bobby was that quick-witted, and he's not only got super strength, but he can fly and he has heat ray vision and he can hear us from far away. I mean, this dude's super, and it just it's like a nickname, it's a joke name. Superman, right? And I thought about like adding more DC characters into the world, like morphing them like they did in that DC Marvel universe. But then I thought, no, what if you just add them in as who they are?
So do you reckon you could tell the difference from afar between Lex Luthor and Professor X? So he can't fly straight away, but he can leap tall X mansions in a single bound. His power set is even more of a Swiss Army knife than Nightcrawler's. Yeah, look, so Nightcrawler, I've seen that he's masquerading as Spider-Man at the moment, or at least was very recently.
Is he
really?
Really?
That costume looked pretty cool too. Actually, you know what? I've got Google. Let me find it for you. The patented shoot the shit Google.
I just want to know how they hide the tail, because he's got to hide his tail.
They don't. No.
They don't? So
I don't think so. Spider-Man, not well. I mean, how? If you were, an actual rogue of Spider-Man's might notice the difference, but a common thug's not going to go looking for Spider-Man's tail, right?
Yeah, but doesn't Kurt use the tail? Where's Adam? That's his favorite X-Men. Doesn't he use his tail to do stuff like hang and all that stuff? Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, Uncanny Spider-Man.
Why not? That was pretty cool.
Instead of whip stamp.
So where is the Spider-Man in the comic then? Is he like missing?
That is a good question. And I haven't been reading it, so I don't know. Would you like me to Google it, Gaz?
It's interesting. It's interesting because I haven't really read comics in a very long time. Like, I've picked one up here and there, but I haven't like read comics. And within the last few months, I've been going to the comic book shop. Like, I haven't said, like, I had like a box, like where they hold comics for you, right? And I hadn't gone for like over a year, so I was like, I don't want to go in there because they're gonna make me buy all these comics. I'm not gonna go, right? I'm not gonna go. They can put them back in me. So I waited. I didn't go for a while, and I started going again and buying comics. And I'm like, oh God, I'm afraid I want to do another box, but I can't, because I know that if I stop going, then. But I mean, like, what dragged me back was this right here, man. This is what dragged me back to the comic book store.
Oh, let me hone in on that.
Yeah.
Solo. Whoop. Like Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
Holy.
Insane.
I want to circle back to a question that we asked last week, before I forget, which was, could a symbiote take over Godzilla?
I don't think a symbiote is big enough. I think if like a whole bunch of them got together, but I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, like is it size dependent? Because I've seen one. Didn't one take over the T-Rex?
Yeah, but he's much bigger than the T-Rex. Depending on which.
Here's another point from the Photo Viper. Adamantium isn't supposed to melt once it has initially solidified. Right, so they take the liquid form, solidify it, and then it's supposed to be unmeltable.
Yeah, but if if Silver Samurai cut through one, then it is meltable. Even if his blade was made out of adamantium and it got super hot.
Can we talk more about what if the X-Men played beach volleyball against the Swedish bikini team? You know what? This is
we're talking about
brings up
swimsuit issue,
right? But how cool back in the, I think it must have been the 90s, right? When they were bringing out those images of them hanging out of the pool. Obviously, they put like Psylocke was already pretty much everything was hanging out with Psylocke, but they made it so she was hanging out even more.
Yeah.
Rogue, Storm, but then you got like the cool kids like Gambit and Wolverine all hanging out, and it just looked like a fun place to be.
Wasn't Gambit like in a what is the guy's like? What's the guy's outfit called? I forget. The little
Speedo.
Yeah, Speedo. But he still had his overcoat on, and he had that headgear on.
Yeah. Well, how are you, Gap? So I mean, you still got to. I'd imagine Beast already walks around with a Speedo on.
Yeah.
So he was already pretty much set to go. He just took off the lab coat. But
I think that I remember that image. I think I do because I think Psylocke was like in the forefront, right, and everybody else in the background. And I think Archangel was flying.
Like, yeah.
It was a cool image. Jim Lee image
all around the beach, not the beach. It was around the pool.
That
poor Xavier still just in the background with a blanket
tooling around. You're going, what the hell, man? I can't get a tan.
But you wouldn't see that sort of stuff anymore, right?
No, I don't. I think they're. I think it's because of all that stuff that just happened within the last like 6 years. All that they don't want to do that, even though like if you go through Image Comics, there are some comics that are drawn by females that are pretty raunchy. You know, they're complaining about guys drawing raunchy women. So it's like whatever. The comic's a comic.
Image went a bit wild with who were the Gen 13?
Gen 13, Wildcats. I think Wildcats. They had Voodoo and what's her name? Zealot.
Yeah.
Zealot, whatever. Used to draw them in bikinis, and obviously, I think
Fairchild. When grunge was a acceptable code name. I've grown to dislike the idea of the symbiote or symbiote. I wish they'd kept the original unpublished concept for a stealth costume made from unstable molecules. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was originally conceived as an alien. Like, wasn't that a later idea? Because it was just in the Secret Wars. It's just an orb, right? But he doesn't know it's living. So they may have just been a later idea where they're like, oh, let's make it an actual living creature.
I like the original, like the McFarlane's original design, and I wish they just kept it as like introducing more symbionts and then a symbiote king. It's just like it's a whole alien world full of them, and it's like that's kind of a little out there.
Did you ever read Venom Lethal Protector?
I think I did. I think I might have. It was like a 4-shot, right? 4 comics.
Well, yeah, they were each like mini series. That it would start again at issue 1 when it had a new run. So there was Lethal Protector. There was Funeral Pyre, and then I can't remember where it went after that. But I thought that was a pretty cool concept. Like I liked the idea of the anti-hero Venom, right? Because Eddie Brock was not necessarily a bad person. He just made some bad choices, right?
For Peter Parker,
right? But because of circumstances, right? Up until that point, you know, he may have been a jerk or whatever, but he wasn't like a murderer.
Yeah, he wasn't a bad guy. He was just didn't.
He was eating brains after Venom.
Well, symbiotes got to eat, my friend.
Right, that's right. They got to eat. But I like that idea, and I thought it was believable enough. Just like the Punisher, right? The Punisher is another idea you probably couldn't do today, but it was the concept of these people did me wrong, and he was just an innocent bystander. Well, I mean, depending on how far back you go back, innocent bystander with his family, and then takes it upon himself to.
Well, he was. I know he was ex-military, but was he a cop in the original comic? it gets kind of fuzzy because I've seen the Dolph Lundgren movie, the Thomas.
Dolph
Jane
Lundgren, he was a cop, right?
Yeah. So the Thomas Jane, he was Thomas Jane when he was a what? ATF, I think an ATF agent, FBI agent.
He was definitely skilled.
Yeah.
I can't really remember. Chris, how are you, Chris? Separation anxiety was maybe one of the Venom minis. Yeah, possibly.
Never read that one. I think I made a read Lethal Protected, but I don't remember it.
This is messed up. I didn't read a lot of the Thunderbolts. I was starting to. This must have been later Thunderbolts too. I remember when Thunderbolts were first coming out, and they were like, "Who are these guys?
Yeah.
Who are these guys?" Great concept. I wish they'd have kept that. Who are these?
It's their. I don't want to say it's their version of. Well, yeah, kind of. It's kind of like their version of Suicide Squad, except they don't know that they're all villains.
Yeah. Villains posing as heroes. Loved it. Mac Gargan Venom from Thunderbolts. I thought his look was pretty good, but I didn't think that it was the best look. I kind of like the space one, and I haven't read anything to do with Venom recently, but I've seen him in like in the Guardians of the Galaxy in an image where he's in like space Venom.
I don't know what space Venom is, so I'm gonna look him up.
Oh yeah, check it out. Check it out with Google, and then show the rest of us. Are you doing it on your computer or on your phone?
I'm doing it on my other computer. I have a computer.
Oh, okay. Well, you're like microchip.
Right, I got like a whole screen of it.
Yeah. How are you, Kiwi? Good to see you, buddy.
I'll see images here.
Do you remember when the Sentry ripped Carnage in half? That was a crazy scene. I didn't read the comic, but that image was plastered everywhere. Like I think up until they stopped, I was reading Wizard magazine for way longer than I was actually reading comic books. Like I'd be like, I might pick up one or two comics here and there, but I was reading that every month because I was like, I can catch up with what's happening. And sort of before Google and stuff, which we are heavily reliant on this show. Hey, Toddley's here. I want to do a quick shout out to Toddley too, as well as, and piggyback off of that with Hans Chow. So Toddley, Hans Chow, both incredible artists, and do check them out on Instagram. And we're hoping to branch out and bring some more guests on, and I think that those two together would be pretty good.
Venom. Is it Venom Space Knight? Is that what you mean?
It could be. Let me look it up. We're gonna
see an image of Venom. Like he's got like, it looks like his suit's armored. He's got like a patch.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. Is this the image you're looking at? Where I'm just gonna gaggle it real quick.
It looks like he's fighting a bunch of Skrulls.
This guy?
I seen that one. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, that's the same image. Yeah. This is just cover number one. He's fighting some Skrulls. It's actually kind of a cool suit. But I mean, is it Venom or is it an armored suit?
It's Venom. This is Flash from Flash
Agent
Thompson Venom.
Yeah, Agent Venom. That's Agent Venom, right?
That's a cool concept. I did see Punisher and Venom. That was cool.
Well, they have a comic where like the symbiotes take over everybody, right?
Yeah. But they do that. They do that every so often, like with when the Justice League all became apes, and when Marvel all became zombies. I loved Marvel Zombies 1. Like I loved that. I loved that series so much that I wasn't even collecting comics, but because when that series came out, Marvel Zombies originally, when that series came out, it catered to the like the what if style stories that I liked from days gone by, and it also had that timeline where it was in the timeline that I was reading comics. So it wasn't, it was back in the like 80s or 90s, those characters turning into zombies, except Sentry was there. And then it gets a little bit convoluted.
Didn't it show Howard the Duck as a zombie, or was he like killing the zombie?
No, he was that Howard the Duck one was in Ash versus
yes, that's what I was gonna bring up.
Yeah.
And they're all even. What do they call them?
Crash is here. I'm hoping to get Crash. Let me know how everything's going, buddy. I won't say too much on live, but I have been thinking about you. I hope everything's okay. I'm hoping to get Crash on his own show called Crash and Burn, where he can say some of the things I'm too afraid to say.
Crash and burn, baby.
Crash and burn. Also want to get JLS on the show.
So while we're talking about Venom, and it kind of touches on Spider-Man, and that's not in the X-Men realm. Your favorite non-X-Men, I don't know if we covered this in the last one. Your favorite non-X-Men, everybody else's universe, the rest of the Marvel universe. Your favorite hero character and your favorite villain character.
That's so tricky. I would say, because when I was collecting comics, it would shift ever so slightly to who got the top spot, and it would depend on the comic run that I was reading, right? But essentially, I think the mainstay for the majority of it is the Hulk.
The Hulk?
Right? So the Hulk, when I started reading comics, he was sort of transitioning out of Savage, right? Savage sort of Hulk into a smarter Hulk. And then he became almost like a big green Superman for a while. He had a very Superman look to him, but it was big and green. Peter David's legendary run on the Hulk with Todd McFarlane. His art on the Hulk was, particularly when he brought Wolverine back into the mix, it was a very interesting style. I won't say that it's my favorite, but I did like the grittiness of it. So I would say ultimately it would be the Hulk, but there are some close seconds when I was there. Like Punisher at one point was number one. Captain America at one point was number one, right? And it all depends on which comic book I'm reading, and but I often also gravitated towards what I would say was like the copycat. So instead of Cap, like I might go, oh, US Agent. Instead of Iron Man, I might go War Machine. But I would say Hulk, mostly because if they just left Hulk alone, he wouldn't bother anyone. Yeah. Right? They create the problem, and then he becomes a problem. Right? But he ultimately, if you left him alone, he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't go anywhere. He'd just stick it out in the desert.
It's like the TV show.
How are you, Nate? G'day.
The TV show, he would just walk around and be like, just leave me alone. And
And often it would be because he's trying to help someone that it would sort of backfire as well. And that's what I loved about Bruce Banner, is that he has to decide in the moment, is this worth hulking out for? Right? I need to help. I can't walk away. I should walk away because I know it's going to happen. But is this worth changing? Right? And then right before I got out of comics, Hulk was like, he was Smart Hulk all the time Smart Hulk. But then he got so angry at the death of Betty that he transitioned into Savage Bruce Banner. Okay. And Bruce Banner was now all of a sudden he's like, when he gets angry, he becomes Bruce Banner. Right. And Bruce Banner can't do shit, right? He's just a guy. Just a normal guy. That's great. Hey, it's Chad. Look at those two handsome legends. Right back at you, buddy. Right back at you.
And your villain?
Okay, so again, I want to try and steer away from those that could be considered anti-heroes or have transitioned to hero, and just make it ultimate villain. It's almost too easy to say Galactus, right? But Galactus is a pretty neat concept, great design. And his design for the most part has stayed pretty much the same. When Kirby created the look of Galactus, at least I'm assuming he did. Yeah. He cemented the iconic look. Now it shifted, color palette and a little bit of costume design. But if you looked at a silhouette of Galactus as he ended up being, and Galactus when he was first introduced, you would instantly know that is Galactus. Yeah, there's no mistake. Cheers, buddy. Internet does seem to be working this time around. It wasn't necessarily the internet that was the problem last time. It was the power. The power went out. I needed He-Man because he had the power. Speaking of He-Man, Mo Tuesday is back tonight. In case you guys don't know. So other than Galactus, which I just because I remember playing the Marvel game where someone brought it up in the chat where it was you could pick any character from Marvel and then go up against, what was that called again? Marvel, whatever that one was called, where it was not too long ago. It ended up getting a sequel to it, but Galactus shows up at the end of that one too.
Is that the Marvel Heroes game?
Yeah. But was it called Marvel Heroes? What was it called again?
I'm thinking about that online RPG game that they had out that was supposed to.
No. This one was a multiplayer game, and you could pick up to 4 characters. And you could be X-Men, you could be Avengers, you could be, and you could mix any one of those. I mean, it had a cool story to it. What was it called? Someone literally mentioned it in the comments above, and now I've gone blank. Crash is getting Galactus soon. Very cool. We'll get to this question too, because this is pretty cool. But a villain.
The gamma radiation, radioactive spider, cosmic radiation. Children of the Atom. That's what we're talking about. Right? Except for Hulk.
Except for any of those. That's a good question. We will get to this. Fin Fang Foom has also been but that's not really considered a villain either. All right, I need to just man up and pick a villain, and I'm gonna go with. I can't think of anything other than Galactus. I'm gonna go Galactus. That's the one that's yeah. But if I had to go Earthbound one.
Yeah, Earthbound.
There are very few that have had the most impact than Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn, the Kingpin. There are very few that have had as much impact, Doctor Doom, Magneto, than those characters. But I always liked the look of, I think he went by the Rose and also Blood Rose in the comics.
Oh, yeah, he wore the white suit with the mask and the glasses.
Yeah. But he also switched it up and gave himself more of a tactical suit as well. Nice. And I just love the look of that. I almost wanted to say Prowler because I thought he was a cool look too, but he was more of the anti-hero as well. Oh, what was that guy that looked a lot like Spawn?
I thought there was a Prowler.
No. There's another guy that came out that looked a lot like Spawn, and he had a living cape, living suit, and he was what was his name? He was cool.
In the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, he teamed up with Spider-Man. He was introduced in a Spider-Man comic. Nightwatch. Of course, Nightwatch.
Interesting.
Yes.
Thank you. After Spawn or before Spawn?
I'm almost certain it was after Spawn. Fuck you, Yeah. So Galactus was never really a villain, and I think Rose was maybe the son of Wilson Fisk, or at least related.
I'm not sure. I just remember a few comics with him in it.
Anyway, what would you say yours was then? Hero and villain. Now that I've finally gotten through that head conundrum.
my hero. I didn't read like the hero comics of Marvel when I was younger. I read the X-Men, but I was reading Superman, so I was in the DC heroes, right? But my favorite Marvel hero would be like later era, and I know I'm gonna say I don't think he's an anti-hero at all. I go with the Winter Soldier as my hero character.
Oh yes,
he became Captain America. He's still fighting on the side of the Angels, minus the brainwashing gimmick. I just think he's a cool character all around. I mean, he's like Wolverine meets Captain America.
That was an absolute mind-blowing moment, right? Because there was only ever 2 people that I could think of in that time frame that never came back to life: Bucky and Uncle Ben, right? And nobody anticipated Bucky ever coming back. Nobody.
Right.
There's no way. And then when it turned out to be Bucky, I don't think there was anyone collectively that was disappointed.
Well, I mean, the thing was like 3 characters that would never come back in comics: Bucky, Uncle Ben, and Jason Todd. Those are the 3 characters.
Oh yeah. And then they did that again.
Yeah. But no, I think he's got a super soldier serum in him. He's a Russian super soldier, right? He's got that cool bionic arm, right?
Thanks, Crash. It was Ultimate Alliance was the game.
Ultimate Alliance, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, okay. And I just think he becomes Captain America, trying to hold true to it, and all through Civil War after Captain America is killed, right? He's Captain America,
Right.
and
Yep.
I think he's just a cool character, really cool character. And then my villain,
Winter Soldier.
yeah. Well, he was an elite assassin throughout the years. You know, he changed the face. You know, he changed the trajectory of the future. No. I was gonna say the Red Skull, right?
Yes.
He's a badass, right? But I'm gonna go with the overall villain is Doctor Doom, because
Doctor Doom for me, right, was not only does he have an iconic look, but when they came out with the 2099 universe or 2099 universe, they're like, if we're going to make a Doctor Doom 2099, it's just got to be Doctor Doom. Right? It's the same Doom. Like, who else can they put in that armor? Nobody. And arguably pretty cooler, you know, that outfit. Cooler than the original, possibly, depending on where you saw that.
Armor with a cape and a hood. But he's an evil mastermind. I mean, this guy takes on the Fantastic Four, all four.
Yeah.
Right. I just think he can go up against any hero, whether they're from the X-Men or the superhero universe or anybody in DC, and be you know, a threat all the time because he's just that evil. But
and with his magic abilities, he might even be a threat to Superman.
Well, just Superman's not. He's not. It doesn't threaten him. It doesn't kill him or anything. It just throws him off balance.
On balance, off balance. Anyway, so JLS Comics. Let's get to this because this is. I also want to know your answer to this, Gaz. Okay. And then we'll switch off and go a little bit more DC if you like, and transition out of Marvel because I can go Marvel for hours and hours and hours. But JLS says,
can we add DC or is this just a strictly Marvel?
Oh no, let's go DC as well. Let's go comics across the board, right?
All right.
Let's throw in. We can't go. It says radioactive spiders. It doesn't say you can't be ooze like turtles could be in there, right? So. How about who's your favorite character not based on gamma radiation? That these days that eliminates a lot of people. Radioactive spiders these days that eliminates a lot of people. Cosmic radiation and those that are children of the atom, of an atom. Okay, who are you going to go with?
Well,
favorite character.
Cosmic radiation. So that like eliminates the Fantastic Four. But does that eliminate Silver Surfer? Because it's not technically cosmic radiation. It's power from.
It's not radiation. That's right. It's not radiation.
Galactus. So I would go with Silver Surfer. If we're just strictly talking Marvel, I'd go with Silver Surfer.
I thought it was. I loved Silver Surfer when I was. I also was really into the Infinity Saga. I love those comics. It was great to get everybody together and see them all in one panel. But Silver Surfer, I thought, was great cosmically. When they kept him on Earth, like he couldn't leave Earth, it's like there's only so much you can do with a cosmic being surfing around the skies. Right? This is like that's crazy.
But he's cool. I mean, he is cool. Surf all day.
So I actually I started playing Fortnite, and don't judge me, but I have Hulk, I've got Ghost Rider, I've got Spider-Man, and I got a Silver Surfer skin as well. And the best thing about the Silver Surfer is that you actually surf down on his surfboard. Such a basic look, but it wins.
Unless he's trying. All right, unless he's seeing like street level hero.
Well, that's another thing I was thinking of too. Like, does that now put us into either aliens, street level heroes, or I guess whatever other power set that Captain America is not. Is that radiation?
I don't know.
It's not gamma. That's a soldier. That's a super soldier serum.
Yeah, because Bruce Banner was using gamma radiation to try to create a super soldier serum, right? That was his project? That's how he became the Hulk. At least that's how
the ultimate one. Yeah.
So
street level.
Let's go street level. Street level hero. If we open it up to DC, I don't know if DC has a street.
It's hard not to say Batman.
Well, yeah, it is. That's an obvious answer, right? Batman.
Does Green Lantern count?
Well, no, because it's cosmic. The Green Lantern is a.
It's not radiation, though.
Yeah, but
it's not. Specifically, it says here cosmic radiation. I'm only going with the radiation part of it, changing his power
He's not
set.
street level, though. He's not a street level guy.
You take the ring away, and he's like, take away that ring. He's like, what about the Flash? What does that count? That's
some sort of cosmic radiation. The Speed Force, I believe, is a cosmic ability. Is it? Yeah, I think so.
Fine. All right, let's go street level.
JLS is going to have to find it. We're overcomplicating the question.
All right, let's go.
Street level hero.
Yeah.
Marvel or DC, because let's bring DC into this. We've been talking about Marvel all the time. So I'm gonna go Green Arrow. I like the idea of that. It's like a Batman with a bow and arrow set.
Yeah. What's his name? Oliver
Queen. Oliver Queen. Did you watch the Arrow show? You ever seen the Arrow show? I liked it up until like the last season. It was good.
I'm gonna go. I didn't read a lot of DC. I did pick up the Death of Superman comic, not because I thought it was going to be valuable, because I was still rolling out comic books and putting them in my back pocket as a kid. Right? I didn't start keeping them flat until someone told me that I should be keeping them flat. I was like,
I've got a good story about that comic, though.
Okay, so I got Death of Superman because I was like, oh man, they killed him. Like, how did that happen? Right. So I picked up the comic. Great read. But I wasn't really reading DC. I was more of like a TV or movie DC fan. So like Batman TV show, Batman movies, Superman movies, obviously.
Yep.
The Flash TV show. So all of those I was enjoying, but I wasn't reading the comics. And for Marvel, there wasn't really much going on for superheroes anyway. So I think that's why I sort of was watching DC shows, because there weren't no real good Marvel ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for me, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to be the Punisher. And I'm talking about 80s, 90s Punisher, where it was over the top.
So we're bringing vigilante anti-heroes into this, because I was just going strictly hero.
Well, wait, just his favorite character. It doesn't say hero or villain. It's just who's your favorite character.
Very true. I'm not saying Green Arrow is my favorite. I just like him as a street level guy.
Oh yeah, so I think I liked Hawkeye as a kid, but he was never like my favorite anything. Right? I liked the character. I liked his hover bike thing that he had, but I was never Hawkeye's my guy. But I can see why Green Arrow would be on the top of the list, just because I think he has a much cooler look. Facebook user, oh nice. Who's this? Is this Alex Ross back again?
I will say this. I don't know why it slipped my mind, but I have 3 favorite characters from DC. Right? My third favorite character in DC is Wildcat. Are you familiar with this guy? He's on the Justice Society. He's an old ex-boxer. He dons a suit because he gets framed for his manager's death.
Does he look like a cat?
He wears a black costume. He's got like little floppy ears. Almost look like a dog. It's like supposed to be an alley cat suit. He's got like puffy, like white puffy. He's got little whiskers that stick out. But he wraps his hands up in like boxing tape, and he's a boxer.
I think I do remember. Was he in the same team as Guy Gardner?
Yeah. He was in the JLA. He's been in the JSA for a long time.
Okay, I think I know the guy you're talking about.
Like the revamped version of him, he trains the Canary to fight. Batman goes to him to learns from him to fight as well. Like one of the people.
How are you, Dom?
Hey, Dom. And then he also, like in the newer version of him, he's like he knows a couple of different fight styles, so he's not just a boxer.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so that's your number 3 spot.
That's my number 3 favorite hero overall, Marvel and DC.
Overall, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't know. Thanks, buddy.
Hey,
appreciate it. Punisher is my favorite street level Marvel hero. Batman for DC. Yeah, it's hard not to say Batman, right? Like Batman just seems to be the go-to street level
But is he street level? I mean, I know he strictly sticks to Gotham, but I mean, he's on the Justice League he's on the Justice League, and he's like with other superheroes.
Yeah,
and
true.
I would say his superpower is his intellect. He can strategize any situation. You know what I mean? He's a backup plan for everything, right? If Superman goes rogue, he knows how to take him out. Apparently, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm struggling to think of anyone else other than Green Arrow for DC. Like
Nightwing. You got Nightwing. Is a street level. I think he's street level.
Right. Well, you can't go past Robin for Space Commander's preference.
Right. Black Canary. I'm trying to think of other people here. They're just full of like street level guys. I can only just think of the bad guys because it's like the same. It's like the Justice League, just their own comics.
What did they do? What did they do to him? He was cool when I was a kid. It's a shame what they've done to him. What did they do to him?
I don't know. What did they do?
Tell me.
I mean, there's been like what 5 different Green Lanterns that from Earth. There's only be one from the sector.
Because you got a favorite version of Green Lantern?
I think Kyle Rayner is probably my favorite.
Yeah, he was very popular in the 90s.
Because he came up with like the weird stuff. He was making like giant robots. You know what I mean? Instead of just a big hand to smash somebody, it was like a giant robot that came out and smashed.
He had a cool mask too. It reminded me of Maverick from the Marvel comics. Black Panther, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist. Are these street level though? Like Luke Cage is superpowered, Daredevil superpowered, Black Panther superpowered, Iron Fist superpowered.
I mean, if you take the original versions of these guys, they're all street level guys. Even though Luke Cage I think he's impervious. Black Panther is a protector of Wakanda. Well, in the MCU, but I mean, he was a street level guy.
Grifter.
Deathstroke's
cool.
He's DC's version of Captain America because he has a super serum in him, soldier serum.
Okay.
Red Hood. Go ahead.
Wasn't Red Hood the Joker?
No, it's Jason Todd. He was the one that Joker killed. That's my second favorite DC character.
So what was Joker's original persona before he became Joker?
It was the Red Hood.
It was Red Hood, okay. But then later on it came back as Jason Todd.
Yeah, he killed Jason Todd, and Jason Todd comes back, which is one of the characters that wasn't supposed to come back. Comes back as and he dons the Red Hood persona because it's the Joker's. And he moves into Gotham. His plan was to overtake all the criminal organizations in Gotham and stop the criminal like that. Like he would control it all. And then he would go after Batman because he didn't kill the Joker. And then he became part of the Bat family, and I guess now he's not. He's still like a rogue.
Cheers, Redface. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. Grifter, how cool is that look? It's like Cobra Commander with the mask, with the top off, so he's got the hair coming out like Gambit.
Double fisting the pistols.
Oh, it's just so good. And they were originally an Image Comics character.
Yeah. Well, Wildstorm Image Comics, I believe, right?
Right. So I never really got into Image Comics. I did read some of the Savage Dragon because I thought that was a great concept.
He's a great character.
But my brother was picking it. He's super into Spawn even today. So he had Spawn action figures, comics, all of that stuff. But I did enjoy. I thought the movie was pretty good for Spawn. I liked the soundtrack. I thought that was great too. I used to watch a cartoon called Max. Was that Image or was that something else?
The Max. Yeah, that was Sam Keith, I think his name was, and he drew Wolverine for a little while, and then he went over to Image Comics, and they to offer his own comic or whatever, and he came out with the Max, which is like, it's just a weird character. I think he was Australian, wasn't he?
I think it was in the Outback, but I didn't know what he was. Like I thought it was said somewhere that he was a giant rabbit. Am I thinking of something?
Maybe because he had that.
I don't know.
He had that thing. Yeah.
So the Photo Viper is saying that Green Lantern is paying for his good times. The only unfortunate part of that is that he has to pay for it. You would think Green Lantern would be able to get, popularity alone. How do you guys remember all this? I can't even remember what happened in the cricket last night. I'll tell you what, mate, we could be making it all up. All right, you can fact check me on some of this stuff. I'm not an expert by any means.
I can't tell you what I did yesterday, but I can talk comic books that I read
exactly.
20 years ago.
I don't really remember much about Paladin. Was Paladin one of the ones that they introduced in Spider-Man? I'm gonna look up Paladin real quick.
Paladin, I think he was a villain, wasn't he? I think he carried like a
Paladin.
Wait, no. He was kind of like, I think he might have been like a solo type of guy. The solo character.
The mercenary. Yeah. So I'll bring up an image of him. I mean, you can't get much cooler than this.
Yeah, that's him. Kind of like what was that vigilante guy called in DC Comics? That might have been the Vigilante. I think that's his name, actually. There you go.
Okay.
he was in the what's his name show on HBO? His character from Suicide Squad. I want to say the Patriot, but it's not the Patriot. Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a decent show, actually. It was kind of funny. It was funny. It was really good. I liked it.
I think Suicide Squad was one of the few DC comics that I didn't read it religiously, but I had a couple of comics from Suicide Squad.
One? Yeah, Suicide Squad is decent.
I had a few from Justice Society. I probably had some Superman, other than Death of Superman. I probably had like a Superman comic laying around somewhere, but I wasn't collecting them. Shadowhawk was a cool Image character and a Wolverine lookalike who battled with AIDS. There you go.
Yeah, street level character too. I think, right? Yeah. I don't know. My favorite Image comic.
I get it. Peacemaker was just a helmet with no face.
Well, I mean, he's just a throwaway character in the comics, I believe, and then they put him in that and they give him a show. It's kind of cool seeing like that lower level characters like that nobody cares about, other than Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman all the time.
So did you get into all the hype for Image comics though, right?
Oh, I totally dissed Marvel. I stopped reading.
You left with the rest of the guys.
I was reading the X-Men, and it became like it went from like, because I'd gotten like a whole collection of comics from a friend of the family's, and I had a lot of the classic X-Men stuff, like the Silvestri years, like the low 100s, going with the Brood and going into Inferno and all that. And I read all that stuff, and then Jim Lee took over, and I was just taken by his artwork. I loved that. I would copy that all the time. Copy the artwork. I think everybody did, right? And
his Batman is spot on.
Oh, his Batman and Superman are spot on.
Yeah.
And then it started getting kind of, to me, it felt like it was getting very like a soap opera. There was a lot more dialogue. You wanted to see Wolverine tear somebody in half, not watch him talk about his psychic. What was going on in his head with Xavier. Even though it's interesting material now, but as a younger Chris, I didn't like it. Right, younger Gazz was like, I want to see him kill somebody. Anyway, so when I found out, and I was a big fan of Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri. So when I found out the two of them had their own comics, they can have their own comics and Image, I was like, bye Marvel, I'm going this way.
Yeah.
Sorry, right? Sorry. So I read Wildcats and Cyberforce, and those were. You should throw me off.
He's just gonna call you out like that.
So wait, what did he say? Oh, of course. But anyway, so I was with that. I was like, Jim Lee's Mark Silvestri doing this stuff, and I mean the characters in those two comics. I mean Ripclaw, American Indian, like that's Wolverine. That's got like claws for his hands. I'm like, that's cool. And then he had Warpath on Jim Lee's side. Oh, not Warpath. It was what the hell was his name? It was like Warblade, I think it was, right? He can pop blades out of his arms and stuff. Like he can turn his whole arm into a sword. That was kind of cool. And then the stories weren't great. And then they would drop off on the drop off on the issues coming out because they didn't know what they were doing. Just like, oh, and Jim Lee, and then find out later that Jim Lee didn't really want to leave; he wanted to stay.
Well, I think that the reason why they left is fair.
Yeah.
Right. Where they weren't getting royalties, they weren't getting recognition. They, characters that they created were automatically owned by the business, which again, I'm on the fence about that too. Like if you create it for the company, then the company can use it.
You could say that, because if you look at the creation of Superman, the two guys that what was it, Joel and I forget their names, they created Superman. They didn't get any royalties. Once DC picked it up, or even I think before that, they were like swindled out of it, and they didn't start getting royalties from it, or the family didn't start getting royalties until they came out with the Lois and Clark series. Because then head of DC was like, well, we're gonna start giving these people this. That's exactly when this was going on, right?
Right.
When they left Marvel, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna throw them some money because it's only fair, right? And then the other thing is because Marvel was also, I think they left the press they were using at the time, which a lot of smaller companies were using to print comics. Yeah. And they went into their own press, so they were doing their own stuff, and that also killed like the industry in that early '90s. They were, a lot of smaller comic book companies went down the tubes because they couldn't afford to pay the press. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why they left.
I think another good reason that the comic industry crashed was that they were literally just pumping out, issue 1 this, issue 1 that, dynamic cover this, variant covers and all of that crazy gimmicky stuff. The trading cards in there, posters.
The foil covers that were supposed to be like, gazillion times what they're worth. They should be worth, right? Is like worth 0 now because there's so many of them, and they forget like the reason why Superman 1 or Action Comics that debuted Superman was so in demand and cost so much is because kids just rolled that up and put it in their back pocket. So getting a minty, fresh looking one is only nearly impossible. Not to mention with anything not cut out of it, because they used to cut things out and send them in.
Yeah, exactly right. Like 3D, not X-ray vision glasses.
See, that turns me around to the story, the comic that you brought up, the Death of Superman issue, the one where he actually dies.
Yes,
right.
That's right. We're going to circle back around to that.
I have a funny story. We went to I was going to the small little comic shop in the town that I lived in. Small little comic shop. We'd go there like daily. There'd be like a guy in there with the guy who runs it every day, and they just shoot shit like older guys, like we are right now, right?
Right now, perfect. Now a couple of older guys shooting the shit.
I remember I walked in.
I'm gonna kill on air if I catch it. Go on.
So me and my friends, we ordered. We asked for that whole series to be held, and then when the Death of Superman, I only got one copy.
Yeah,
right? Just one copy. He said, let me think about it. So I got the copy, and I'm like, I want to read this. So I just ripped it open.
Yep.
And the looks on their faces were priceless. They're like, do you know how much it's going to be worth? I'm like, I just want to read it. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, I did the same thing because I needed to know. I needed to know what was going to happen. So I was lucky enough. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I was lucky enough, and I don't know how Mum swindled it. She must have swindled it somehow. But I was lucky enough that every month, Mum would pick up every single Marvel Comics that was coming out in we weren't getting everything,
just the
but whatever came out on the racks, she would pick up every single one, just grab them. Like if I was at school, I'd come home and there'd be a stack of comics, and there would be literally whatever they had. Right, so it wouldn't be, do you want this one, do you want this one? She was like, okay, Marvel, and when the Secret Defenders came out, they had issue 2 on the shelves, but they didn't have issue 1, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it's like, oh man, I need to know how this got together. So Mum went back to the thing and started negotiating. It's like, hey, have you got any of those back issue comics that you might need to send back or whatever? So she was able to get me some back issue stuff as well. And I don't know what they did where you guys were, but they used to cut, instead of sending back all the comics, used to just cut the top corner of the covers off. and so some of the comics I'd get would have some of the top.
Why would they cut the top corners off?
They'd send it back to whoever supplier they got it from.
Oh,
right?
really? Okay.
So they'd send it in an envelope rather than sending a big stack of comics back. They'd send just the top corner of it back to the publisher to show that that's whatever credit that they would get on it.
That's interesting.
Planet Decepticonicus. Good evening, everyone. Did I get that name right, or did I butcher it?
It sounds fine to me.
Yeah, perfect. Don't ask me to do it again. But good to see you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Do
it again.
You do it. You do it.
It's funny. Because I've just started going back to the comic book store, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went in the Justice League versus Godzilla versus King Kong, right?
Yes.
I knew it was coming out, but I didn't know when. So I was like, I'm just gonna go down and check it out, right? I knew around the time it came out. So when I walked in, I guess the first 3 issues had come out, right? And they had one, and they had well, actually, was it just one? I think it was just one, the first one. Yeah, all right, so this is the first one because I got this third one. Anyways, so they had like 3 copies of it. One was like $45, right? And the other one was like $20, and then there was one at like regular price. But the one that was at regular price was just a blank cover, just a white cover.
Huh.
Well, I pulled the guy aside. I go, "What's the difference? Why does this one cost this? Why does this cost this one? And why is this one cheap? And why doesn't this have a cover? Why is it white?" And he's like, "Well, that's a con thing. So like you can take it and then you can go to the artist and have them draw the cover." I'm like,
"Oh, of course."
Hand those out. But I said, "But don't they hand those out at the comic book cons?" I mean, it's kind of doesn't make any sense. But anyways, so I bought the no cover one, right? Because I'm not paying $45 for a comic book, right? And then when I went back again, I didn't know what the release dates was, so I think it was a little over a month when I went back. And 2 and 3 had come out, and I had 3, and I asked them if they had 2, and they're like, "No, we don't have 2. We can back order it for you if you want." I'm like, "How long is that going to take?" He's like, "I don't know, it could take a couple of weeks." I'm like, all right, I'll just look online. I'll take my chances. I'll come back, right? So I couldn't find it online. And when I walked in, this past weekend, they had re-released 1 and 2 in one giant size comic. So let's buy that.
Nice,
so,
perfect.
Yeah. But I hate when that happens. Like you want to get like a run, and then you only get like 1, 2, you miss 3, 4, and they're already on 7, and you're like looking for that back issues. It's just so tough to find this.
That's what most of the gimmicks were like in the 90s, though, right? Maximum Carnage, you had to pick up all the Spidey books. Execution of Song, you had to pick up all the X books. There was when the Infinity Crusade came out, that was across all books.
Oh, yeah, all books. So you had to pick up that issue. And then you're like, you would go to your comic shop. I don't know if they do this in Australia. I'm pretty much, they probably do. But like you have to say, I want the Infinity Saga. I want all the books. So they're like, so you want me to get all these titles for me? Yeah. Okay. So all the books come out and you read them. And all of a sudden you go back after it's over and you've got more issues of those other books. And you're like, no, I just wanted that one. They're like, well, I had to sign you up for all of them because I can't remember everybody, which is understandable. But now, like, I got to cancel this and I don't want these. And they're like, well, that's a lot, Yeah, it's like,
that's how they guilt you into doing it, though. Because I remember there was a place called Quality Comics back in when I was a teenager. I went back there recently. It's garbage now. It's so sad. But at the time, it was the biggest comic book store I'd ever been to as a teen, and I was like, they had like rows upon rows of back issues. It was a dream come true. Mum couldn't buy all of those ones, there were way too many. But I would say, hey, I want to pick up these issues that are coming out, and they're like, oh, we can get you this many, but you really should be picking up maybe, instead of picking up 3, maybe pick up 5 or 6 books. See what else is coming out. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
They really try to. It's a business. I get it.
I guess it's a cross-sell, obviously, but it's like then you start reading books like you don't have no idea who these characters are, or you know them, but you don't know them that well. So you just want to read it for that story, and then the story only touches on it a little, and then it goes into their daily routine.
I've got a question to ask, Gaz. from back, maybe even still today, but back when you were collecting comics and you went into like a comic store, right? Not a newsagent's or a little store that would have them on the racks, but like a comic store, would they be bagged, like poly bagged and backed? Because they were doing that in my comic book store when I was a teen, right? All of them across the board were doing that. Where if you saw it, they'd already, when it come in, they slipped it and taped it and put it on the shelf, right? So and it was frowned upon to open that because it was only sticky tape. It was frowned upon to open that and flip through the comic, like you would in a comic stand. So people were just buying random comics, not knowing, what it's going to look like, what the story's going to be like. Hey, Rob Vegas, how are you, buddy? Rob Vegas is back in action, shredding that guitar. I told him not to do it. He goes, I'm going to shred my guitar. I said, don't do it, man. Don't do it. Keep it. Those things are expensive. But I'm not a musician, so I didn't understand what he meant at first. But you that are musically minded will know that he was.
So my comic shop, the comic shops that I've done, I've had like maybe 3 or 4 comic shops that I've gone to in my entire lifetime that I would actually go to, like, this is where I'm going to buy my books, right? And they were all like comic shops. They weren't like cross. I mean, they all have like vintage toys and whatever, board games or whatever in there, but they were primary comic shops. So the only books that would be in in the protective bags or whatever would be the back issue stuff that were in the boxes. Everything on the shelf was open. I mean, as trying to sell comic books, how am I supposed to know if I'm going to like a comic book just by the cover? I'm going to thumb through it and see if I dig the art. Because for me, one of the main things for comics is I like a good story, I like good writing, but I love the art. The art has to look good for me to want to read it. If it's not good, I don't want to read it.
Also, a good cover doesn't necessarily also equate to a good panel.
Especially now, because a lot of the covers are done by different artists that aren't in the book. Like, one of my favorite artists is J. Scott Campbell, and he just does covers now. He doesn't do any interior work anymore. You know what I mean?
Imagine being that good that you can semi-retire on just doing comic covers.
It's one of my favorite image comics is Danger Girl. Have you ever read that?
No, I didn't read it, but I know the character. Yeah.
But I mean, it's G.I. Joe inspired.
Yeah.
I mean, like the villains are like Cobra, and it's a brilliant story. It's a brilliant concept for a book, and the art is just great. And I mean, like, he stopped doing it, but he brought in somebody with the same style to continue the story until it was done, I guess.
Well, that's what I love when a complete run is done by the same artist.
Yes.
Right, or a similar artist. I know that everyone has their own style, and that's great, right? If I like your style, I will want to read whatever comic is in that block. But it throws it way off for me. Like when I was reading, I'll go back to Execution of the Song. There were some comics in that run that and these guys are all infinitely better than me, right? I'm no artist at all, but there was some that was just not my style, and I was like, oh man, I wish it was the artist from this comic doing this book.
Yeah.
I will just say real quick from Planet Decepticonicus. I wish I had a good comic shop near me. I had to drive at least an hour and 20 minutes to get to the nearest one. So when I grew up in the outback, I didn't have a comic book store. I had whatever the newsstand had, and even that was like an hour away from the small town that we were living in. When I finally got to live in the big city, and I found that comic book store, that was a train ride, and maybe even a bus ride away from where I was. I had to go from where I was into the city, and I'd never been to the city before. Not the city that this was in, and I had no idea what Subway was. Right, Subway sandwiches.
Yeah.
So I caught the train, the subway, to the city. Walked from the city to the comic book shop, and as I'm coming back, I notice there's a sign that says Subway down here. Right, Subway down these stairs. Right. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's much closer than the walk I did from the train station in the city to the comic book store. I'm just going to cut down here and go home from here. So I walk down there, and it's a Subway sandwich place. And I walk down there, and there is the first thing I notice is that there is the sandwich setup, right? You got the glass, you got all the salads, you got all the meats, you got all the breads. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm a bit hungry. I'll grab something to eat now before I catch the train, right? Haven't clued in yet, right? So I'm like, I've never seen a Subway sandwich place before. And I said, wow, you guys must be making a killing here. They're like, not really. It's, business is okay. I was like, man, it's so convenient. They go, okay, thanks. I was like, yeah, man, I'm just about to get the train home. And I'm like, did not expect to grab lunch. This is perfect. I'm just going to quickly grab a bite to eat, and then I'm going to hop that train. And then I get my order, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, there's only one way out, right? Back the way I came.
Right.
And I'm like, where's the Subway? And they're like, you're holding it. I was like, right, but I mean, where do I now go to catch the train? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, is there not a? They go, no. Subway is the business. Subway is the sandwich. I'm like, oh, I knew that. I'm just messing with you.
That's awesome.
I don't know how awesome it was, but it's just accurate.
It's a great story, though.
Messed me up. I never went back to that Subway ever again.
Well, I wouldn't either.
Great sandwich, though.
I bet it was. The last time I went to a sub shop, the person behind the counter didn't know how to make the sub that I wanted to make. And I said, are you just filling in, or is this your job? She's like, yeah. I'm like, don't you think you should know how to make a sandwich? It was like, usually people tell me what they want on the sandwich. They go, I'll see you.
Didn't even bother waiting for it. My sandwich from memory was good. I'm sure it was probably like just a basic meatball sub. But yeah, it was a good sandwich. It was a good sandwich. Jeez, crazy. But yeah, that comic book shop, it ended up from that location closed down and then became a smaller store. And the original comic book shop that I went to was called Quality Comics. And you would walk downstairs into this giant basement.
Yeah.
It was gritty. There were posters everywhere. There were cardboard cutouts everywhere. There were action figures. There were comic books wall to wall, and also in the center. And I went back there recently, and it was just sad. It was like a little cube, and I was like, oh man.
Were they still selling?
Oh man.
Were they still selling?
They were still selling comics, but they weren't selling anything good. It was garbage. To this day, Azazel can't look at a sandwich without feeling great shame. True. 6 grams of fat or less. 6 grams of shame or more.
So the comic book shop I go to now is called the name of the store is called That's Entertainment, and it's like it's like a little warehouse full of comics, and it's like,
oh, that's cool.
It's like legit massive wall of just comic books.
Yeah,
like all the new stuff coming out. Then there's like a whole section of just graphic novels, and then the center of the floor is just all box comics. And then they have like little pegboards on the tables that have like vintage toys or whatnot all around it.
I love a good graphic novel, and I like it when they do a collection or a run that is in graphic novel form. I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was one of the first graphic novels that I read that really blew me away. Like, I love the concept of it, but the brutality in it was just off the charts.
That's a good question. So is that your favorite graphic novel?
I'm not sure. I went to this place in Melbourne, Rob.
Minotaur.
I checked that place out. It was very cool.
I kind of want to go to it just because of the name.
Is it my favorite graphic novel? Well, I mean, it's I can't think of anything that trumps it at the moment. What have you got?
I have 3 that I absolutely love. One is Kingdom Come by Alex Ross. who's watching this because he's on Facebook user.
Yeah. Here today.
which is just a stunning book, a great story. The second one is Red Sun, Superman Red Sun, where he grows up in Russia. The third one is Red Hood, Under the Red Hood, the Batman Under the Red Hood, where the Jason Todd comes back, which is all DC's, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Those are all worthy choices. I would say I would throw Marvel's in on there then for graphic novels. I thought that because Alex Ross being in the chat right now, I thought that was pretty. I liked his style. Is how do you even explain his style? It's a photorealism.
He's to all oil paintings, I believe, right? Well, I think he does oil paintings. Yeah, it's insane.
I believe so. So the Photo Viper says. We'll circle back around to Alex Ross in a sec. But as a kid, the only place in my town that sold comics was a local pharmacy. Same. It was like a newsagent / pharmacy. It was pretty much an everything thing. They had one spinner rack. Same. Archie, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Transformers. If you like issues of G.I. Joe. Yeah, like I can relate to that, buddy. Absolutely can relate to that. Comic shops in Adelaide seem to be just full of graphic novels in Asian languages that open from the right-hand side. I guess international uni students are the only guys in cities reading comics now. You know what's disappointing is that right now, if I go into a newsagent's or a chemist or wherever, I can't find, or an airport, I can't find comics. I can't find a single comic anymore. They're all in position. I can't find them. They're nowhere except for actual comic book stores. Aussie, how are you, buddy?
One of the things that I do when me and my brother go to Germany, we usually go every couple of years, right? I will walk into like a news shop, just a news, get additional magazines and stuff, and I will look at the comics just to see what's there. And it's just I'm looking for like German stuff. I'm not looking for like Marvel translated into German. I'm seeing what they have like for German heroes, a comic book scene there. And one time I went looking for a comic shop, but I think it was too far. I didn't want to go that far because we had plans. But
it's I'll just touch on this real quickly. Spinner racks at the pharmacy, they hold more precious memories to me than walls of comics. Walls of comics are impressive, right? And as a kid, I was really impressed. But looking back now, my favorite memories of comics is spinning that rack, finding out what's on there. And not having everything in front of me is just like, oh man, I wonder what's here today.
You're talking the pharmacy compared to or like a CVS store. As a pharmacy sort of. But you're talking about like that, or like a supermarket that has like a small section of comics compared to an actual business that's dealing with comics. Yeah, spinner racks. Yeah, spinner racks. I think that's probably the first place I ever got a G.I. Joe comic, and I didn't read G.I. Joe when I was a kid. I just saw it and I was into G.I. Joe. I'm like, ooh, let me see this, right? And they were 25 cents, 50 cents back then. Plus here anyway, right? Now they're like $3.25. It's like,
well, I would see the how much they cost in US dollars printed on there, and then they would stick on what the Australian dollar value was. I'm like, why am I paying this much? Almost twice as much for a comic. But they you were talking about Alex Ross for a sec.
Alex Ross. Yeah, Alex Ross. He did like I love the Bionic Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Austin, Lee Majors. And there was a comic run, I think it was Dynamite Comics. They did a series of $6 Million Man, like a modern version of it. I think it was written by the guy who did what's his name? Clerks, did those movies, Silent Bob. What's his name? Why is it Kevin Smith? Kevin Smith, yeah. Right, Kevin Smith. He wrote it. He wrote the story, and then Alex Ross did some covers, and the art inside was really good.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like just looking at an image of Alex Ross's painting of Steve Austin, and it looks like Lee Majors, and I'm like, oh my god! And then I open the book, I'm like, okay, it's not Steve, it's not him, but it's still
right. As opposed to Kingdom Come and
Kingdom Come was all done by him,
and I did read. I had like it was Heroes Illustrated. I think had Alex Ross interview, and he had like all of his concept pictures as well on there. and I thought that was great. He had a picture of Iron Man that was literally lifted off of the Rocketeer. So it was like taking the helmet off, and it's Tim. Is it Tim? No, who was in the Rocketeer? Who was the bad guy in the Rocketeer?
It was Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. There you go. So Timothy Dalton as Iron Man, taking off the helmet in the exact same fashion that the Rocketeer did.
I could have seen him play Tony Stark.
But it looked great in this concept picture. But yeah, I was blown away. And like I said earlier, I thought I misread it as Axl Rose instead of Alex Ross. I was like, man, this guy is so creative.
He also did a run. I think he might have done some comics for him, Dynamite Comics, because they did a run on some of the lesser known heroes from like the Golden Age.
Yeah.
I forget some of the names of them. There's like, what the hell is it? Some guy who's like his thing is like being a pirate. He has a cool mask. I want to say he's called the Terror, but
okay.
he did a run of these, and I kind of like read them for a little while because they're just like cool to see like some new type of, I say new, but a new fresh take, not just the same old heroes that we're used to, like something new.
Well, that's why I gravitated towards League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I was just like, this is such a great concept, and people that I haven't read about other than in book form, in their respected books. But
those characters are like timeless. They're old. They're like pulp characters, right? They were written before comics were even around. Like the Phantom and the Shadow. Those are great characters.
So the good thing about the Phantom is that you could pick it up anywhere, and you wouldn't be lost. I'm just going to look up G.I. Joe comic 47. I want to see who was on the cover of. Oh, let me have a look. Issue 47. That is.
Is it the artist? Oh yeah.
Now, who wouldn't have picked that up on the comic book stand? That is a great cover. So Chris saying, I'll never forget getting my first G.I. Joe comic, issue 47, at a comic shop. Crazy how some little things you never forget. It's the little things. It's the little things that stick with you. I think. So who we got there? We got Beachhead. It looks like Hawk and Wetsuit.
Wetsuit, yeah. Is that the same as the box art for the Devilfish?
That's a good question. Devilfish. I don't know if the Devilfish had. Let's have a look.
I think it might have been Shipwreck.
We love Google on this channel. Devilfish.
Let me grab my phone because it'd be more easy than doing this. I'll be right back. Hold on.
All right, buddy. So it is almost exactly the same, except you've got Beachhead and Wetsuit, and very soon after this, they picked up General Hawk for the cover of issue 47.
Yeah, all right, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Free Sergeant Slaughter.
I wonder why they put Hawk on there. It's kind of weird.
Well, part of the story, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Uncanny X-Men got me hooked on comics. Wolverine and Colossus blew me away. Yeah, I think Wolverine, Colossus, Beast for me.
Wolverine, Colossus, Beast are your favorite X-Men? Because you said Beast,
Yeah, Beast and Wolverine. Sergeant Slaughter debuts in the next issue 48. I was able to find an issue 48 at a comic book / toy store at Joe Fest for Chad to get signed. He's like, I found it instantly, because I've got a copy of it, but I was like, I need to find the issue. I was like, whoop, there it is. And I only saw like the very top corner of it. I was like, oh, there it is. Just my one cool moment. Speaking of cool moments, Spine Tick's in the house. Yo, Zazel, my bro, at Zazel's Clubhouse. How are you, buddy?
That's cool. So have you ever bought a comic book even though it's in another language that you just don't read?
I have, and I didn't buy it, but I was given a bunch of comic books that was in another language, but it was still Marvel comics. So I couldn't understand what the dialogue was, but someone had got them from another country.
In these bags of comics that I used to buy in the first comic book shop I ever went to, they would have like these like kung fu comics from China.
Nice. Yeah.
And looking through them because I didn't know you're supposed to read them the other way, right? You're supposed to read from right. I think it's from left to right or right to left. Anyway,
other way around.
I was thumbing through it and I'm like, how come everything's happening backwards?
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on here. Then I learned later too.
So some of the first, and I'm sure you're probably the same. There's some of the earlier comics that came from, and I didn't realize came from other countries, were things like Asterix and Tintin, and those were all in my school. You know, I could pick them up from the library.
So I picked up this comic book, or it's more like a graphic novel, on one of my most favorite like IPs out there. Super giant robots from Japan, right?
Yeah.
So it's a Grandizer book.
Grandizer.
Right? So Grandizer.
All right, let me saw. Oh, that character looks very familiar to me.
Yep. Goldrake was his name, or UFO robot.
Yeah.
This is like a modern take, it takes place more like modern times with this character. And the only problem is they only printed in French.
Oh, Google Translate.
Yeah, so for me to read this, I got to put up Google Translate so I can read it. But the art is phenomenal. Like, look at this. Look at this.
Oh man, that is badass.
And it's like,
how cool is that?
And I mean, it's just one heck of a cool book. And the only thing I saw it on Amazon, and I knew it was out, but I thought the one in Amazon was going to be in English. So I was looking at the description and I'm like, it's just too cool. I'm just going to look at the pictures like I'm a little kid, and then maybe I'll just make up my own story as I'm reading it, or do it and actually just put Google Translate on and try to read it that way.
As a kid, I reckon I would flip through a comic first and just look at the pictures and then go back and then sink myself into the story.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. So I did that for a good portion until I started to get into the story. And then I would be like, I've got to read every page before I turn it now. Yeah. And then later on, it'd go back to flipping the pages.
Like I just read issue 3 of Godzilla versus Justice League versus Godzilla, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you circled back to that because I need to know, and gorgeous artwork, I agree. I need to know what the hell, because I remember there being an X-Men crossover with Star Trek, and I thought that was pretty wild. But why are the JLA crossing over with those two guys?
It's the legendary monster universe. So it's the monster universe, right?
Yeah.
The artwork is decent. Here's Superman and Supergirl and Shazam punching out Godzilla.
Look at that! That is so good.
He gets up though. He gets up and he goes away. But there's like a couple of monsters. It's all from the monster universe. So here's that mammoth monster, right? There's the mammoth monster, right there.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's invading Wonder Woman's island.
Yeah.
And what happens is, like, spoilers, if nobody wants to know what's going on, if they want to read it, I'm just going to tell you the plot. So the Evil League, I forget what they called. What do they call them? The Sinister League, Lex Luthor and all his cronies and stuff. They're trying to figure a way. They're trying to figure a way to finally beat the Justice League. And Luthor has this plan. He needs the Mother Box and or Orion's sled, right, to do it. So they break into Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and they get these. And Luthor's like, "Listen, guys, don't touch anything because everything's alarmed in here." Right? Obviously, kind of cheesy, right? And the toy maker is like, "Ooh, shiny thing," and picks it up, and the alarm goes off. Right? And then
idiot.
The Justice League show up, not Superman because he's busy doing something else. I don't want to ruin that bit of it. And a fight occurs, and then something happens where Toyman throws this like doll grenade and blows up near the Mother Box, and it teleports the Legion of Doom. There you go. There's the Legion of Doom. Legion of Doom to the Monsterverse, and they end up on Skull Island, right?
Okay.
They find one of Monarch's bases, and they see King Kong. They see all Godzilla on the screen and stuff, and they're trying to figure a way. Well, we got to get back to our world. We can't stay here. This is a different dimension. And then obviously the toy maker's like, oh, look at all these cool toys. We can use this to beat the Justice League. And he's holding this gem that he stole from the Fortress of Solitude, and he makes a wish. And the wish brings them all back into the universe, and that's how they're there.
Okay.
So that's how they're there.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And I will say this, like Superman, this is something that I want to see, but I don't want to see at the same time. Yeah. Is Superman
there it is.
Godzilla, right? Because I don't want either one to fight, because I don't want either one to take either one out. But
what's the sound effect that it says when he's hitting Godzilla in the face?
Fuck.
I don't know. I reckon that would be more of a crunch or a crack.
Well, he lays one on Godzilla, but then Godzilla comes back with the tail and bats him into like 4 buildings.
Nice. Gives him the old wham.
Yeah. Well, here's a nice one too. Here's a nice picture too. Look at this. Oh, yeah. He Vision versus Atomic Breath.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a piece of art that I drew a long time ago, and it's just Superman hovering. So you see him from the back, right? You see the cape, the S and stuff. And then I drew like a massive eye, and it's supposed to be Godzilla's eye. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. It's somewhere.
Yeah, I need to see it. Go get it.
I don't know. I don't know where it is right now. I'll be like looking for it.
Next show.
All right, I'll have it for the next show.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's just I just have an image of Superman, just your face back facing you, and then just a huge eyeball with like like his eyebrow and stuff like that. It's Godzilla versus Superman.
I need to check it out. Make sure you bring it. Find it, even if you don't want to show it live.
I'll send it to you. All
right. So some Godzilla fans, Spinetics, IDW Godzilla titles are out now. They are a banger.
Yeah.
Toddley wants to read that. He loves him some Godzilla. And
well,
do you know
go to the shop now, because Shop Now just put out 1 and 2 in one giant size issue, and you can get the other ones because I think it's on number 4 now.
Oh, nice. Power Rangers versus Godzilla. Is that a thing?
He would totally wreck them. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Those wars not powerful enough.
No.
G.I. Joe is Sarge returned to the comics? I hope so. I'm not actually actively reading a lot of comics right now. I'm actually I cannot find any comics locally. And that's Australia wide. I'm finding it very hard to find comics anywhere. Is that it? Solo. Whoop. Maybe we'll do a live reading with Gazz one day. He can keep me up to date.
So they're doing a Cobra Commander series, and they're doing a Duke series.
Nice.
And then there's the Larry Hama stuff. This is also what brought me back to comic books. Is like I need to start reading these. So that's what I'm reading now.
Yeah, win one of my giveaways, and I'll send them to Australia. All right, I'm going to give it my best shot. All right.
Do you have a Kindle? Because they're on there too. You can read them on there as well.
I barely have technology, so no. Jealousy.
I'm sorry.
I guess they're available. Yeah, we can pick them up.
I think Duke and Cobra Commander have been out like a week or two, and then the Godzilla one. I think that one just came out because it was under the new category. But yeah, it's just
Retro Tinker knows my pain. They're scarce outside of capital cities. Even in the capital cities, the few capital cities that I've been to in recent times, I've been finding it very hard to find anything.
I may go back next week, so if you want, if I can find some of the G.I. Joe stuff, I can get them for you and send them to you if you want.
All right, thanks, buddy. You're too kind. You're too kind, Gaz.
Hey, that's what friends do.
That's right. Thanks, bud. So I don't know what date our next show is going to be. Unless you want to do it next week, I'm free. It's up to you.
We can do it next week. We can do next another one. I'll think of a topic to talk about, and we can just shoot the shit.
Well, we've got the Cutthroat Comics that we're going to have on the show for the next one. So I can try and tee that up with Cutthroat Comics to talk about his comic book.
Yeah, do that.
I've got he's sent us over some images of the covers that are coming out. I don't know a lot about the story. I want to hear about what the story is going to be.
He said it was a horror comic, right?
It's horror, it's crime, it's murder, it's mayhem. Check out on Facebook, check out Cutthroat Comics, and you'll see some of these awesome shows. But thanks, buddy. Thanks for checking us out. We'll wind it up. We'll wind it up in a moment. But I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us.
Oh, it's
Nearly.
already 10.
Yeah. Well, it's been nearly 2 hours. This is great. Love it. I'm loving this format, Gaz. I love just shooting the shit. I like not having to put slides together. I like not having to. It's not that I don't mind putting effort in. Right, you're worth the effort, Gaz. But I got to say, I've really loved just being able to sit down and just shoot the shit. Right, we've been bouncing around topics and going on and different tangents, and it's just been absolute fun. And I think that's what the Clubhouse is all about now. We're all about just hanging out and having fun. No agendas, no scripts. Just good old-fashioned hangouts and have fun. That's not to say that I won't bring up a slide or two eventually. Because the next show will have some slides from Cutthroat Comics. I do want to get Toddley and I do want to get Hans on to show some of their art. I want to get JLS onto this show, and because he's not just comics, he's called JLS Comics, but he's not just comics. He knows stuff, right? And if I could get him in a room with Pericles, right, we wouldn't have to say a word, right? We would just let them talk and all of their facts and knowledge, and we would just be absorbing all of that.
Well, let's see how their knowledge is. If they're familiar with the show Chips, I just finished watching that. I put it in a post, and I'm very disappointed in the last season.
Right. Well, how many seasons of Chips were there?
I think there's 6.
I will go back and watch some Chips episodes. You know what's another good show that I think one day we could have a chat about is Bonanza.
I haven't seen much of Bonanza, but I'll have to watch a couple of episodes.
I remember liking it as a kid, but I didn't remember loving it, right? Yeah. And I thought I would go back and revisit some of the episodes because I'm a big Western fan, like yourself, Gaz, big Western fan.
We're gonna have to shoot some Western fan shit.
Right, that's exactly what I want to do. But what I'm going to do, Gaz, is I'm going to send you this episode of Bonanza. It's a standalone episode.
Okay.
And it really, I would say, because I've watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes of Bonanza just to just get back into the show of it, right? Yeah. And I won't go as far as to say that it's the best show on television at the time. I enjoyed it at the time. Rewatching it, it's not bad. It's a good show. But this episode, it was a standalone episode. It was set in an isolated area, not on the ranch. Oh, nice. Ponderosa. That reminds me of there was a Grover episode skit on I don't know if he said Ponderosa, but the word Ponderosa reminds me of Grover. Is Ponderosa a car?
A Ponderosa?
Is it a car? Because I might be misremembering it, but there was one Grover skit where he's a salesman, and I think he was like that little blue guy. I think he was trying to sell him a car or rent him a car, and he's like, Alejandro, bring out the Ponderosa, or something like that. It reminds me of Grover. Bring out the big car.
Let me see. I'm looking at Ponderosa car. Let me see if there is a car.
Because it might not be. I might just be remembering it as.
I think the Ponderosa was a '66 Chevrolet Ponderosa, which was like a big, looked like a 2-ton pickup truck. Here, I'm gonna pull up the image. That looks like a Zazel truck to me.
Yeah, I'll drive that. Testarossa? Could have been Testarossa.
Testarossa?
Could have been any. I'll look up the Grover skit and see if I can find it.
That's the same blue guy that he brought at the hamburger to, the huge hamburger.
Yeah. I love those skits. But this episode of Bonanza, it took place in its own. Are you a fan of the movie Hateful Eight?
Oh, that's the Quentin Tarantino film with Kurt Russell. I've seen it. It's all right. It wasn't what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be more of a
Quentin Tarantino movie is never what you expect, but it's kind of like that concept where it's isolated to this one area, right?
Yeah.
And the story I thought was compelling, and I thought it was like this. I know there must be a show like this, but I need to go back and find it where it was just, it could have been its own thing. It could have just been its own thing. It didn't even have to be Bonanza. It was just such a great show. But I'll send that to you, so you can check that one out. But I want to shoot the shit and talk some westerns. I am going to be hanging out with Jonathan Sorensen to talk about John Wayne movies, and I wouldn't mind doing the same with you guys, just talking through some of our favorite John Wayne.
We can do that. I'm up for that. Westerns are fun. The Lone Ranger.
Yeah, love to. I'd love to do that. I think what we'll do is, and feel free to disagree, is that we'll pick McClintock was a great John Wayne movie. Not my favorite though, but I'll share the link to Sorensen's channel when I go on to talk John Wayne. What we'll do, Gaz, is that we'll come up with, like we did today, with a loose concept of an idea that we can talk about, and then just shoot the shit about it and not worry about specifics.
Western sounds like a good topic. I like that.
I agree. Yeah. That'll be fun. But as for now, if you're free next week, Gaz, I'll hit up Cutthroat Comics and see if you can join us. Same bat time, same bat channel, same Gaz time, same Gaz channel,
same Gaz time, same Gaz channel.
As two as, and then we'll shoot the shit.
Shoot the shit.
If you're into Western cowboy action figure clothes, ooh, okay. I bought a lot from Battle Gear Toys. Awesome.
What's Battle Gear Toys?
What is Battle Gear Toys? Have you done a video on that, Spintix? Have you, Sith Lordly? Have you done a video on that? Because I'll check it out. But I'll look up Battle Gear Toys for sure. Not a lot of Western. Actually, there's more Western stuff than there used to be. I guess not back then. There was probably heaps more. But there's a lot of stuff. What's it? Dime Toys, Chicken Fried Toys, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think they have a couple of cowboy stuff coming up. There's also I did a back to Kickstarter for like these, I forget what they call them, like the Future Warriors. And
right.
There was like 5 or 6 of them, and 2 of them, one was a futuristic Spartan, and the other was a futuristic cowboy, and those are the 2 that I choose. I'm waiting for them to come in.
Okay, cool. We'll have to touch on those. Another thing that I'll do next time is I'll go through my box of goodies and let you know what my current collection looks like. We'll go through that at a later date. But yeah, this was fun. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out with me.
So we'll do it again next time. Hanging out with Cutthroat Comics. I will put together a little bit of a slide. It's going to take some work on my end, but I'll do it. I'll do it because it's worth it. Thanks to everybody in the chat that has caught us here today. We do appreciate it. Do leave a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a thumbs down if you have to. If that's what we deserve, then we'll take it.
Be honest with yourself.
Yeah, feedback. Love feedback. Gaz, have you got anything else happening that we should know about? I got your link to Instagram there.
I don't have anything really like on YouTube or anything. It's just hanging out with my friends, you guys.
Yeah, loving it.
See me in the chat somewhere.
All right. Well, I will be on tonight because it'll be morning for you guys. It'll be tomorrow morning for you.
What time does it start?
Oh, for me, I believe it is. Let me have a look for it.
I don't know if it's 6 or 7 a.m. for me. I'm going to get up to watch it.
Yeah, so it's check the local times. Subscribe to Treasures for Trigger. That's a tongue twister.
Phil.
Subscribe to Phil over at Treasures for Trigger, because we have the return of Mo Tuesdays. Season 2 debuting over on Phil's channel. We're going to have legendary Ed 5 standing by, 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. because for us it's an evening show, so Tuesday Night Live. For you guys and Adam, it is a morning show. But however you watch it is great with us. But thanks, buddy. But Ed 5 standing by will be our guest. Adam has come up with an awesome universe figure. And we also have a special public service announcement, PSA, from Space Commander. And because it's season 2, we actually have a new intro for it as well. Ooh. So do check that out one time, won't you? In fact, check it out once or twice, 3 times, the lady. Anyway, that's tonight. Tomorrow morning, right here on this channel, is going to be a new series that I'm doing with Adam, a new Figure House series here in this channel. I'm gonna find it here because we like to use our phones on this show. It's so much easier. We are going to be doing this little show. Is that any of your Toy Biz? And we're going through Toy Biz over the years, starting with Batman '89. So do check that out as well. That'll be in 20 hours, apparently, according to this. That'll be tomorrow morning for me.
They have a whole line of X-Men, right? That's the original X-Men figures.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. But we're going chronologically. Oh, yeah. Man, I'm good at my words today. We're going chronologically, except when I said Treasures for Trigger about Paulie. We're going chronologically through the years, so it'll be DC leading into Marvel. It's going to be a great, fun series. Batman '89, yes, correct. So do check that out as well. Hit your notification bell. Thank Gazz for being here and being a great host. I'm the co-host when it comes to this show.
I think you're more of a host than I am.
No, you're the main draw.
No,
Gazz,
no, you are.
You are.
I'm just trying to hold on.
Mate, as long as the power holds out, we're doing good.
Just remember.
I was like, I was stuck like this for a while. All righty, I'll play the outro. We'll get out of here. Gaz, awesome hangout, buddy. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks to you. Yep, thanks, Gaz. See, the star of the show. Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Super appreciate it. And here we go. This one.